whiskers on my chin, and I'm more hung up with music, and I always play to win. I ain't got no time for loving, cause my time is all used up. Just for sitting around creating all that groovy kind of stuff. But I'm a man.
Okay, so let's get started on this the Sportsman, Polaris Sportsman 4x4 400 two-stroke quad. I'm going to pull that clutch off, at least the secondary, probably adjust the belt, make some adjustments, do some cleaning inside that clutch, and see what's going on. I noticed lately the clutching's a little lazy, a little boggy, so it's going to be important to pull that cover off down there, and see what's going on, and pull that secondary apart. We'll see what's going on with the primary as well, and kind of go from there. I'm going to stick you guys on the stand, and hopefully I don't have to pull the fenders off. Hopefully I can just take the cover off, and I can gain access. But usually with these quads, you got to pull fenders off for 2 hours before you can actually get to anything. So we'll see where we get. All right, let's see where we get to today. These cover screws off. You guys want to watch this? It's super boring. Not a bad day today. It's still windy. It's kind of been windy for a week now. It sucks. I got lots of stuff I want to burn outside. Some straw, some flax straw. Just some yard cleanup. But it's been kind of cool enough that that it's kind of unhappy to work outside. Like 12 above Celsius, whatever that is for you guys down in the States. You'll probably all agree that, yeah, you can work outside, but you gotta wear a jacket and the wind is blowing in your face and it kind of sucks a bit. Anyway. Well, let's see, let's keep them in order. These screws in order, because I see some are shorter than others. So let's do that. If you lay them down the order you take them out, it's a lot easier that way. Anyway, guys, I'm going to shut you off, and I'm going to turn you back on once I get the cover off. This is just going to bore you to tears, and we're just going to use up time. And with YouTube and my internet connection, we don't got a lot of time. So catch you in a bit. All right, we got the cover off with a minimal amount of effort. It wasn't too bad enough to take the whole fender off. Just took the mount off, the fender, took a couple top bolts out, and took my box off. My luggage box, so you get the seat and get those bolts out of there. So just looking at this primary and secondary, primary looks reasonably decent, you know, without pulling the primary off. I'm not picking up any play here. Everything seems to be pretty good. Not getting any. No, everything's good. Most importantly, at the end of the crank bearing, it seems fine. It could be that primary spring is getting a little tired. I'm getting a little bit of, so right here, that push right there, that's the spring tension. So it could be that spring is kind of getting sacked out over time. I don't have to pull the whole primary off to change that spring, or to even, for that matter, inspect the spider or the ramps. I can just take these nuts out, these bolts out. I don't see any real wear here. Bushings are fine. There's not a lot. You know, it's not, these Polaris clutches are kind of noisy as it is anyway. As far as belt deflection, there's a ton of belt deflection here, and we'll take a lot of that out by probably removing a shim or two from the secondary. The secondary is just on a keyway, basically. You take your 1/2-inch wrench, or your 1/2-inch socket in this case, by the look of it, hold on your brake, turn the bolt out, and the whole secondary should slide off of a keyway, and then we can look at that and pull that apart. Like I say, there's actually quite a bit of a deflection. decent amount inside the side too, but not so far out of the ordinary that I'm going to worry a ton about it. This is not a performance quad. It's my little work unit. I put my plow on it, you know, things like that. I just need it to work a little better at lower RPMs, and that amount of play, deflection in the belt, and the fact that that belt is sitting down, yeah, it's pretty well sitting level at the top of that shiv. It should be just slightly above, you know, probably another 16th sitting above there. When I take that out, that'll take the deflection out, and you won't have all that play right there. See, and then the only way you can take out that side to side also is to shim your primary, but I probably won't do that today. I'm going to work on the secondary, check that over, and likely tighten that secondary spring up so it holds the RPMs up a little higher and doesn't load into the secondary at a lower RPM and thus cause, you know, kind of lackluster performance and low RPM shift out. So I'm going to get to that, and we're going to pull that off. So that's your brief description of this primary, which is on the motor. Secondary is on your jack shaft, which runs across your chain case, and then it goes to your final drive. It's your rear axle. That's how it works. Pull that off, and meet you guys on the bench. So in this case, guys, it's not a keyway. It's a spline, a gear spline. And you know what? That's a little nicer. I prefer that. Things tend to go on a little nicer with that, with the spline, and lock up a little nicer too. So that little feel in there is your chain taking up the slack over in the chain case, but that's not bad. Okay, onto the bench. All right, guys, this is secondary. Where's my Pepsi? I mean my Coke. Yeah, I'm kind of thirsty here. You guys like zoomed out, zoomed in. What are you? Let's zoom you out. Secondary. That's what your secondary looks like. Shivs look to be in nice shape. No major belt rubbing. Looks like we're getting almost full shift out on those. No cracks, the usual casting marks. Feels to be, so what's inside here, I'll show you more as I pull it apart, but what's inside here is a spring, a torsion spring, which relies on compression and torsion, and a cam, which gives you your shift angle degree. Yeah, lots of belt dust, we'll blow all that out, no big deal. What do we got? Feels like not a lot of preload. So when you don't have a lot of preload, what happens is you shift into your pulley ratios at lower RPMs than if you had more tension. You would hold your RPMs up, and then you would do your shifting up. And generally when you're at a higher RPM, you're also at a higher torque value or at a higher horsepower value, and you can have stronger, what would the word be? Well, you'd have a stronger shift. You'd have a more powerful shift instead of a lazy shift. This feels like somewhere between 16 and maybe 18 pounds of preload on there. I don't know where what I would usually do is I would take this secondary and I'd just put a pin here and I'd kind of pull on that, and I would measure my tension on my scale, like a fishing scale. I had a fishing scale. Where the hell that fishing scale is, I don't know. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll go ask Herman. Herman might have a fishing scale. I'll be right back. All right, Herman didn't have a scale, and I don't have one. I looked through my fishing gear. My grandfather had one. I don't know where his fishing box is now. I think it's at my dad's place. Anyway, let's pull this off. Let's first take note, though, of a couple things. Where the spring is, it's set in number 2 on that cam. So let's write down number 2. Then all we have to worry about is where the spring is hooked in inside the shiv. So cam hole 2. So that means we only have one other hole to worry about. So a couple ways you can do this. I've I've done lots of these where I just hold it like this, push down on the cam, and take the snap ring off, and then everything will just pop out. Or you can use, like I have here, a compressor, spring compressor, clutch compressor, whatever you want to call it. And that's also very safe because it holds it in case you have lots of preload on there. You would keep yourself an opening right there so you can see your snap ring. It stops it from jumping up in your face. So let's do it that way. What the heck, you know? You got something to look at. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the snap ring down there. Grab yourself a set of snap ring pliers, which I have many sets of snap ring pliers. And then this will let me kind of release everything really slowly so that I can observe where the spring is hooked in on the secondary sheave. What do we need? Need an adjustable wrench. Oh, I'll reach in front of you guys here. And we will crank this down. Turn this so we can go further down on the ramp instead of pushing against the ramp. You guys can still see it or not? I think you can. If you can't, well, I'll adjust it in a little while. Yeah, you know what? Could be that secondary is binding, that the clutch is binding a little bit. That's possible. Could be it doesn't want to push down really easy, and it should push down quite easily. Just again, preload off there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, holding up pretty good. Could be that it's down enough now. Should be able to take that snap ring off. Yeah, it's obviously binding a little bit in there. All right, got that snap ring off. And as you can see, these kind of popped out here. Take that snap ring out of there. And it's still, the spring is still engaged down in there. I'm just going to have a quick look before I pull it all apart, and I can see that it's in hole number 2 on the bottom on the sheave. So sheave hole 2. So let's go with that. You guys see this? So that's your cam. It's got your shift angles. Starts down here. Starts up here, ends up down there. A bit of wear on those. Maybe I'll show you guys. Huh? How about that? Instead of me staring at it. A little bit of wear. It's tough to see it. A little bit of wear in on the sheave, but you know, whatever degree angle that is, usually have it stamped on there somewhere. We got aftermarket ones usually will say. This one, of course, doesn't. It's a little dirty. Doesn't say, but you know, who knows what that degree angle is. It could be a multi-angle. Maybe it's not a straight cut. It could start off at a higher degree than it ends up at. So you get shift out and full RPM and full speed at the top end. Anyway, put that aside. Here's your spring. These will get sacked out over time and lose their effectiveness to hold RPM. Shiv actually moves really nice on that shaft, so things don't look too bad here. What do I see here? See a lot of metal flakes, which is a bit puzzling. Because there's no real wear other than this the little wear that's on that cam. Nothing serious. Inside here, you have your type of a nylon called buttons. They're nylon buttons, and that's what slides up and down on your, you guys can see that. So it slides up and down on that cam, on that angle of the cam. Again, those inside there is the numbers. We're at number 2. I'll end up putting it at 3 to get a little bit more preload on that spring, so it holds out the RPM a little higher for when I want to shift. And we'll try that out later on. But for now, the wear parts on here, actually, put your bushing there, put your bushing on the back side, they look fine. I don't see a lot of play in them. Yeah, a little bit, nothing extraordinary. A little, definitely more than new, but not enough to cause binding when it moves back and forth anyway. So anyway, we'll get these all cleaned up and we will reassemble. Inside your sheave, the inner sheave, you end up having washers, spacer washers, so that you can do, as I had said before, you can set your belt height or your belt deflection. This one has 3 in it. I'll end up taking out 1, whichever the thinnest one is. If you really want to know what the measurement is, I can put it on the caliper for you, but really not necessary. They're all look to be one slightly thicker maybe than the other ones, but I'll take out the thinnest one, and you kind of go from there until you got the right height. So I blew out one sheave already, but check that out. Belt dust. Lots of belt dust. Belt dust, a little bit of belt dust doesn't hurt anything. A lot of belt dust causes binding and helps trap a lot of dirt in there. You get a little grease, a little moisture, mix it with your belt dust, and then you get a real mess on your hands. Clean. Enough. So when I was taking that clutch apart, I did mention that I thought that clutch was binding a little bit. And it probably is a little bit just in the splines, just because of all the belt dust. It's really important, if you've got clutches, to service them regularly. A car can withstand a lot of abuse, a vehicle clutch, but a CVT clutch setup, it can only take so much abuse. And really, if you're not cleaning your clutches or servicing your clutches every, for me, because I used to be involved heavily in snowmobile drag racing and that kind of thing from a very young age, I got in the routine of servicing clutch parts a lot, and very often. Matter of fact, it'd be nothing to pull a clutch system apart, after every race, or even if you had to pull a motor apart after every race. That was fairly common. Otherwise, that spline looks all right. That's fine. Clean the spline up on the sheave, just so that those parts match up. Again, you don't assemble them with any lube. I think I had mentioned to Road King that about the use of Delrin washers, and like I say, Delrin washers are very common for use in a situation where you need parts to slip that are kind of binding against each other, but you can't add grease to them, you can't add oil, otherwise it would just attract dirt and contaminants like that. So let's give that a bit of a wipe. Give everything a bit of a wipe. There you go. That goes like that. This then goes down like this, and your cam goes on like so. Sorry guys, somewhere I misplaced. I actually made this this video back in April of this year, and somewhere I misplaced the part where I reassemble that clutch. where I twist and compress the spring. But if anyone wants to see it, wants to see me do that, that's fine. Just drop a note, and I'll pull a clutch apart and I'll reassemble it for you. And yeah, again, sorry about that. Okay, guys, that's the secondary reinstalled. But all there is left to do is just test it. Generally, I wouldn't say that anyone should ever test it with the clutch cover taken off, but I'm not going to worry about that. I just need to see if the shift out is set, or if I have to change the preset on the spring. I ended up putting it into 1 instead of 3. 1 ended up being stiffer. I could feel the difference, and it was further back in the pre-wind as far as the torsion in the secondary. So that means the spring starts off tighter. So anyway, as you can see, we'll just start it. And while we're at it, while you got your tools out, service your air filter. Sometimes it doesn't look too bad. I just blew it out. Kind of the rule of thumb here, in front of you. If you guys see that? You can see light through your air filter. Pull up the light. Right? Am I blinding you guys? Sorry about that. You can see light all the way through, then you're going to be okay. But, you know, blow the bugs out, blow the straw out, all that kind of stuff. And this one gets a little bit of grease on the seal, so it doesn't suck air past the filter. So I'll put a little bit of grease on there before I reinstall it down in here. And what else? I'll probably tighten the chain yet today. And that'll be about it for this unit. So anyway, while you're at it, you know, you might as well do the other things that are going to let you down in the future. So check all your two-stroke, check your carb boots, make sure you got no cracks in them. A little dirt on the outside doesn't make any bit of difference. It's dirt on the inside that causes all the harm. So anyway, guys.